Hey everyone, and welcome to the Dice Tower. We're going to continue to take a look and kind of wrap up this part here where I'm presenting individually on my top 100 games of all time. These are going to be my numbers 20 down through 11, and then next week we'll be back doing a live top 10 of the top 100. Now this section here was the most agonizing for me to do, because these are ones that almost made the top 10. I love these games so much. And as I'm making this top 100, there's really not a difference between like 74 and 68, for example. I give a lot of leeway there with the specific numbers, but I feel like these are all contenders for my top 100, but just aren't quite there. So they were kind of heartbreaking to not have in the top 10, but I'm still so excited to talk about them. Let's jump right in. I'm Camilla. Here's my top 100 games of all time, numbers 20 through 11. Tidal Blade's Heroes of the Reef has such a unique theme. So in this game, you are contestants in this arena, but you're not battling necessarily. You're showcasing your skills in order to win the title and become a Tidal Blade, or a kind of warrior champion of this world here. And so I love that it's this battle style feel, but really what you're doing is playing different stunts. And you're going to do that by trying to play a stunt card in the right location to get a benefit and maximize that turn, okay? And as you do that, you're upgrading your dice, which is a really cool mechanism because you see yourself getting stronger as you land these stunts. You're kind of pushing your luck. You didn't get it the first time. Are you set up right to try again and again and ultimately beef yourself up? Then there's this big monster that comes in as well that you want to fight in order to get that notoriety as well and those mega points. And that's a lot of fun as you're spending your dice on those. And so you have to make these tough choices of you've upgraded your dice, which is going to make you better at fighting the monster. But if you use those upgraded dice to fight the monster, you don't get them back. So when do you use what dice? Which ones do you upgrade? When do you do the stunts? At what locations? Just layers upon layers of fun decisions that ultimately kind of has a lot of push your luck elements. And I love that. I really enjoy it. Tidal Blade's Heroes of the Reef is my number 20. Now, 51st State is a really fantastic tableau builder. I'm a big fan of tableau builders, and you're going to see that repeatedly here through this chunk of this top 100. I like tableau builders. I like special powers. I like when your tableau kind of fuels an engine that you're trying to build. And 51st State is all of those things. I love post-apocalyptic games. The artwork in this is so engaging. Every time I get a card, I can't help but pick it up and just look at it. And I'm so excited about it that I want to show the opponents, oh, have you seen this one? But I know you're supposed to keep them secret and keep your cards close to your chest, but you know, that's just not my style. I just get too excited. But ultimately, you're building out a tableau to try and get some engine going, you know, as you're making deals with other factions so that each round you have income of resources. Now, you're also playing as a different faction, which is going to have different exchange rates as well. So you kind of feel yourself pushed in a direction of a strategy, but it doesn't set it completely. And I do like the flexibility of these factions as well. So you're making these deals and you have different income, but then also you have different cards in your tableau that you can trigger or that you can save resources on, kind of breaking all the different rules. For that, it's just a fantastic tableau builder where you feel like you're actually building something. I love 51st State. It's my number 19. Genotype is one of those games where you can tell it's educational, you can tell it's science and history based, but it doesn't feel preachy. It's not like you're going to school and getting out of an assignment. Fine, I'll play this game instead of doing my homework. No, you actually feel like you're playing a really good, well-developed game. It's aesthetically very pleasing and very period appropriate, I think, as well. It really sells kind of what it's going for here in this development or this research into the different Ps and the genotypes of it. But it's going to be a very tight worker placement game. Money is very scarce, as it was back in this era. Money is very scarce in here, but it kind of fuels everything. It fuels all the research. So you're trying to balance out how do you get the money you need, just enough to get by, to hire an assistant, which is going to make it where you can do better things. But ultimately, the end goal is to research, and that is where you're going to get the points in completing these research and completing these potted plants and research them out through different goals that you set for yourself. So it's really interesting arc of the game where you never have enough money, but you need enough money at the right times and set yourself up for those moments where you can invest in what you're doing. I love it. Genotype is a really smooth production where you don't feel like you're learning, but you are. It's my number 18. Now, Empires of the North has a very similar feel to it as 51st State, where you are building out a tableau, you're triggering it at different points in the game to ultimately fuel your own engine here as you build out the tableau. I prefer Empires of the North because I feel like the decks where you have your own deck really has personality. In 51st State, you do have your different faction that you play, and as I said, it kind of pushes you in a strategy, in a way of a strategy. Empires of the North, the decks are very different, completely different, and so therefore you have to play them different. I always kind of struggle when I go from one faction to the next and be like, I have no idea what's coming. I don't know how to play this one. It's always atrocious, but I love learning the individual nature of these decks and really finding ones that sing for me. I enjoy the aspect here of trying to decide when to sail and how far to go. Do you invest and take your meat and your raise tokens so you can conquer something, or just take the meat so that you can go to far away? Or just use it as a chance to go out and get some resources. So when to sail and how to sail is such a key element of this game, and it being a shared part of the board leads to some really interesting player interaction as well. So Empires of the North, I love it for its asymmetry. Again, here we are with this tableau building, this engine fueling asymmetry that I love. Empires of the North is my number 17. Now, if you watched last year, you might remember that Everdell was in my top 10. This year has fallen down to number 16 for me. I still very much enjoy this game, but I think the more and more I play it, I am just seeing the mechanisms rather than the theme. And if you know anything about me by now in this top 100, it's that I'm all about the theme. I am theme. I want that rich lore of experience. Everdell is absolutely gorgeous, and it creates a beautiful world. But I'm starting to kind of just see the mechanisms behind what I'm doing and just going for the card powers instead of really investing in it. So it is one that is dropping a little bit for me, but I still really enjoy the synergies of these cards. I love that as the spots, the worker placement spots become very tight or are very tight in the beginning, but then they become less valuable as you set better ones for yourselves in your tableaus that you're building. I love that kind of shift of the game as you build up your own asymmetry in it. So Everdell for me, still a lovely game that I am always happy to give to the table. Just kind of fell out of my top 10 by 6 spots. It's number 16, Everdell. Lost Ruins of Arnak is such a fantastic mesh of worker placement and deck building. I love deck building, but I really like lean, specific, curated decks. Lost Ruins of Arnak does that very, very well. By the end of the game, a lot of times I know exactly what's in my deck, and it really is just when is that card coming up. A lot of times also with my play style, I set it up where I'm drawing my entire hand in one round. I'm sorry, my entire deck in one round. I love that. I love that I have the flexibility to do that in this game. The worker placement is also really tight because only one person can go to each place, and a lot of times there's only one place to get what you need. And if you can't get it there, you have to find a way around that. And is that by building up your deck that you just leaned down? Or is it by taking a feared card, which is going to junk up your deck? Or maybe taking a gamble and going into the unknown and exploring a brand new location, which sets you up with a monster as well. So a lot of different avenues to explore here to get what you want, but ultimately you do feel like you have control. There is an expansion for this as well, New Expeditions, which I really feel like opens it up as well, of taking that individual deck a step further, giving you some starter player powers and an individual deck. I love it. Lost Ruins of Arnak, fantastic, so fun, so rich, such a rich experience for me. It's my number 15. It might be surprising that I have a solo-only game on my list here because I am, one, all about the theme and all about those experiences with other players, right? And a solo game often doesn't have that experience. Final Girl is the exception to that. A lot of it has to do with the theme, but two, just because of the highs and lows of this game. It is very swingy, as it should be. If you are fighting against a serial killer or a monster or something like that, you don't know what's going to happen, but you do the best you can and you try to do what's right and save the other people, which ultimately fuels and makes you more powerful, all while you're trying to take out this big baddie. Serial killer, ghost, something like that. I love the modularity of this, that you can play any of the girls on any of the locations against any of the baddies. I love that modularity, that you can really customize your experience or kind of push yourself into something you're not familiar with or don't usually play like. I love that, and it really has an individual feel each time. You can tell that the designers and the publishers of this game really enjoy the theme and really put time and thought into the lore and bringing it to life. It's a fantastic game. It's very swingy, like I said. I've had games that last 10 minutes and I lose in 10 minutes. I've had games that are just that nail-biting till the very end. And some of them I win and some of them I lose, you know, and so there's big shifts and big swings in this game, which just always leads it to an experience just so rich that I can't wait to call somebody and tell them about it. And I often do. So Final Girl just brings that experience that I like in a multiplayer game into a solo experience when that's all I have access to. So my number 14 is Final Girl. Skate Summer is another game that I thought was falling for me. As I was making this list and I kind of saw where it landed, I was like, I don't know if it's going to be that high next year. Now given, I made this list about 3 months ago at this point, so I thought, I was like, I don't know. You know what? I'm comfortable where it is for now based on my past experiences. I am so glad I left it where it was because it might even go up more. I've played it multiple times since then with multiple groups and it has just absolutely reignited my love for this game. I love the multiple card effects in this. I love that as you are playing out on your own board here, your different tricks that you want to play, you're pushing your luck because you don't want to bust and lose that card. But you also know that you really need that color card. So as you're playing out the cards, you're getting an immediate bonus, building up your resources for either endgame scoring or building up the resources for the main city part of the second phase of the game. And you're pushing your luck to see how far you can go and how many cards you get out there. But you're not just thinking about those resources. You're also thinking about the color of cards that you're playing, so in that second phase, you have the movement opportunities you need. I love that it's multi-use cards where you get everything on. It's like multiple effect cards. And so it's multi-layered as you're thinking, is it worth pushing your luck, not just to get that resource, but also because you really need to make it up to this spot and to unlock that spot. Also vying kind of for that player order in that second phase. When you pull out and say, hey, that's enough, I'm good, I want to make sure I go first in this second phase of the game. I love it. I've seen some epic moments in this where everyone's just cheering for each other. You know, it's like, man, it'll be so cool if you make this roll where you're absolutely rolling the dice against you, and it does, and it just combos. It's fantastic. This game is just leaves me happy. And it leaves me happy for the winner when it is usually not me. I'm still happy because we walk away and we talk about it for a solid 30, 45 minutes after it, and we just love reliving it together. To me, that's such a great experience, and that's why I game. So 13 is Skate Summer. Earth is a brand new addition to my top 100 games of all time. It's also a very new game, so it couldn't have been on the list last year. But it is one that from the first time, not even the first time I played it, from the first 10 minutes of playing it, I was like, this is something special. It's absolutely gorgeous with its unique cards and unique art on them or pictures, and it does it well, right? I'm not really a big fan of pictures being in games. I think a lot of times that takes you out of it being a game and doesn't create its own world. It works in this one because every picture looks like a National Geographic and they capture it so very well. And I love the different synergies between the cards as well that you're creating as you build your personal tableau out. So when an action is selected, you're taking a sub-action on that action, but then triggering everything in your tableau of that color. So throughout the game, you kind of have this constant endorphin drip. And so Earth has gotten some flack for being this multiplayer solitaire without a lot of player interaction. But for for me, it's this constant endorphin drip of, yes, I'm not invested in what you're doing, but I'm so happy going along in mine, and I want to tell you about it that sometimes I'm triggering my engine, and I'm like, hold on, I gotta share this with everybody. Everyone finishes, and then we share that moment together and kind of brings it all back together. I absolutely love that. I love the feeling that you are just empowered in playing this game and very proud of the ecosystem that you built. It is fantastic. It sings very, very well for me and just leaves me with a lot of endorphins. I love it. Earth is new to my list, new to the gaming world, and my number 12. Wrapping up this chunk of the list here, we have Cascadia, and it is one that was, again, in my top 10 last year. It has fallen, sadly, to number 11. By no fault of its own, just there are some great games that have come out recently, or that I've had a chance to play recently as well, that just kind of maneuvered their way up a little further. So Cascadia is an absolutely pleasing puzzle of a game. It reminds me a lot of Calico, but in Calico, when I'm playing that one, I feel very backed in a corner or kind of suffocated, very limited. Cascadia has a more open world feel. You can place these tiles anywhere. You can place the different animals on all the different tiles. The puzzle is how you're situating them together to maximize your points. And so I like that I never feel that I can't do anything or that I'm just taking points away from myself. I feel like I'm building up to points rather than taking points away from myself. So Cascadia, you're trying to meet these different goals and position and build the biggest landscapes possible of the same type together, but then also position the animals for different scoring objectives that you want to meet. So it's absolutely pleasing. I really enjoy this game solo. I think the solo mode or variant for this doesn't feel like a mode or variant. There's like no overhead to it. So it's one that I will pull out if I don't have much time, but I just want to play a game. It's one of those that I use at night, you know, kind of as my little nightcap. I'll pull out Cascadia and play a quick game by myself. I absolutely adore it. Cascadia is pleasing, leaves me with a smile on my face, and ready for bed. So, number 11, Cascadia. There you have my numbers 20 through 11 of my top 100 games of all times. That does leave a couple holes in my top 10 from last year. As you saw, a couple of these have dropped out of my top 10. So what's going to fill them? Let's find out next week when I come back doing it live for the top 10. Until then, let me know in the comments down below which of these games you like, which you've played, which didn't quite sing for you. I'll see you down in the comments, and until next week, I'm Camilla. Keep on gaming.